And welcome to the first episode of Doctor's Orders, the show where we analyze competitive Dr. Mario in the hopes of becoming a little bit better in life and in pills. My guest today first appeared on the Versus scene in 2024 alongside her twin sister, and she has been tearing it up ever since. It's Parula. Parula, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
We talked about it a little before, but you're having not such a temperature emergency as I am in this heat wave right now. I think
Yeah, I'm very lucky to be on coastal Maine, so it's always a little bit breezy and a little cooler than inland.
Well, that's
Yeah,
good. I a little jealous, but I'll manage, I think. But I
yeah.
think I'm glad you're here. I just when wanted to do the first episode of the show, I really thought hard about like who I wanted the first guest to be, and when I met you in Hartford last year, you had such kind words about my match analysis, and you were a big fan, and so I thought that it was certainly appropriate to have you for the first one. So I'm glad you're here. Thanks so much for coming. But on this show, I would like to begin every interview by starting at the beginning. So if you could tell us, how did you start playing Dr. Mario, and how did you find our wonderful community?
Um, yeah, so I grew up playing Dr. Mario. The game was released for the NES the same year I was born, so I don't know um when I initially started playing, but yeah, it was a big family affair from the NES, and then we got it for the N64, and then the last time before just getting back into it, I played on the Wii when you could play against people online.
Oh, really? So you played on the Wii as well?
I did, yeah. That was the last. I played like probably right up till that stopped working.
Okay, awesome. And
Yeah,
so, yeah, and I mean, we all know your sister Pangolin very well. Of course, most of us do here. But this was I understand this was a whole family affair. Like I met your brother at Columbus last year, who was an awesome guy. And even though we don't see a lot of him outside of that, apparently he played as well. And there's more family members in the mix. Is this like a real competitive thing within your family?
yeah, I would say none of us are that are like overly competitive. I should say, um, just for the record, Pangolin and I are actually two of triplets, and our brother was, I think Ruggy was his name in
Hmm.
at Torg,
Yep.
is our third triplet, and then we have an older brother who also plays with us. I'm trying to get him to join for the Hartford Regional in September.
Okay, interesting. I did hear about him, but no, they did fail to mention that this was like a triplet deal. Uh, but no, yeah, they were both very cool. And yeah, from what I understand, you guys like was this at a young age that you started on the NES version, playing against each other?
It must have, I really don't remember an age starting, but I recall the day that we bought the N64 version, which I think came out in when I was like 11. So um, somewhere before 11, I must have started playing.
Oh wow, so you can't even remember that. So Dr. Mario is basically just like in your bones then.
Yeah, I like to think so. I'm a little bit obsessed with it. The three of us have talked about getting like Dr. Mario virus tattoos for years now. So
Oh
it's
yeah, that would be sick. You could each get one of the different colors. That
yeah,
would be
yeah.
amazing. Oh wow.
We've already decided on the colors and everything, so it's gonna happen at some point. But
Okay, wow,
yeah,
that's awesome. But
yeah, I knew that.
yeah, but it sounds like this has been a big part of all of your lives. And then how did you come across our community? Because we hadn't really known much about you guys until just this past year when you started playing in tournaments.
Yeah, I didn't really know anything about DRMC. I hadn't played in like 15 years. But Pangolin, I think, was the one who found out about the Hartford event happening. And I was approaching like a long, dark, boring winter. So I was like, I'm gonna just dedicate my winter to training for this. So I searched around on the internet, found the Facebook group, and then found Discord. And then we both, Penguin and I, joined Fightcade on the same day. I think it was like January of last year.
Hmm. That
Um,
sounds about
and
right.
then, yeah, yep.
Yeah, I vaguely remember for I think it was just shortly after the Waco regional in January last year that I went to, where I recognized you guys playing in the monthly tournament. So I know it was around that time for sure. And you
Yeah.
guys just searched it out and found us. And honestly, you guys were right out of the gate, doing very well. I mean, I think a lot of people search out these communities like ours for games like Dr. Mario. They've played it a long time with, their family members and stuff, and they think, "Oh, surely I'm the best in the world." And they come in and they just absolutely get a slice of humble pie, and they learn that, the ocean is much larger than they thought. But honestly, and both you and Pangolin both were competing at a really high level basically right away, without any, I'm sure there was a bit of a growth period when you first started, but you didn't really start at the bottom. I felt like you've been pretty much at the top the whole time that you guys have been here. Were you expecting that? Were you surprised by that? Like, what were your
Um,
expectations when you started playing online with other people?
I yeah, I really wasn't sure. The benefit of having siblings growing up is that someone's always better than you at something. So, I think we didn't really get the chance to get to the point where like we thought we were the best. But yeah, and then England started out as a C rank. I think when we joined
Hmm.
on Fightcade, and I started as a D. So there definitely was a learning curve getting back into it. And then I didn't have a controller, so I started on the keyboard. I was using like muscle memory from my keyboard Tetris days, which were a short period of my life. Yeah.
Okay, interesting. Well, I mean, it really didn't show as far as tournament results. I mean, maybe if I were to go back in the archives, I could be proven wrong. But I feel like you guys came right out of the gate with really strong results against, the really strong players, from what I remember. And then by the time, well, we saw Pangolin at a regional before you, and that was the first time I didn't know she was going to be there. And as soon as I saw that she was in the bracket, I was like, oh well, I know who's going to win the regional now. Like, it's very obvious to me. um, and
Yeah.
then uh, and then we saw you guys coming out to Hartford, um, and you well, I don't, yeah, you've attended multiple regionals over the 2 years, and Pangolin has as well, both of you. But in your case, like, what was attending the live events like for you? I'd love to hear your experience with that, because I feel like that's one of the my favorite things about the community, to be honest, is the live events. So did you have any feelings about it going into it? Did you, have, uh, a good experience when you did? I'd love to hear about that.
Yeah. I was very nervous going into the Hartford one. Just because it was my first live event. I didn't know anyone like in person yet. I kind of hyped it up too much in my head and put too much pressure on myself, I think. But
Mm,
yeah, I'd learned from that, and the Kentucky one, I felt much more relaxed, and it was great to meet like more people that I had played online. So like Gridley and Betty, I got to practice a little bit before the tournament, so that put me more at ease. I felt much better at that one just with experience.
well, because the first time you in Hartford would have been, I guess, your first time playing like on a stage in front of like a
Yeah,
crowd is maybe, it wasn't a huge crowd, but it was a crowd of people. So
yeah.
was that, were you surprised by how maybe taken aback you were by that?
I think the problem was I was expecting to be nervous, and then I was no more nervous because of that. But yeah, the camera, camera in your face kind of thing,
Hmm.
added added to it. But and also the first time people were seeing me, um, yeah, after playing online for a while, it was. I mean, it was about what I was expecting, but I definitely I learned after that one to just try not to think about it at all leading up to it, and that actually really helped for Kentucky. Just not thinking about it, and that it was no big deal, no pressure.
Yeah, and it sounds like you had a more prepared feeling going into Kentucky when you were playing there, and I guess your results kind of showed that you certainly made it reasonably far. And now I know that I spoke with Pangolin after Columbus, and she had a great time, and you were unable to attend that, and we'll talk about why in a little bit. But I'm assuming you heard about it too, and was wondering if you had any, FOMO or regret about not being able to go. Was that, how was that? How was that feeling?
Um, Yeah, I was definitely bummed that I wasn't able to make it. The on the plus side, I was hired for my job as an alternate, and so the if I hadn't been hired, I was like, "Well, at least I'll be able to go to Torg." So it was like kind of a consolation prize. Playing Dr. Mario or going to Antarctica are like equal in my in my brain, which sounds ridiculous, but yeah, I was actually able to watch it live, so that felt pretty good to felt almost like I was there to watch it, but
Yeah, I mean, in my experience, especially with all the regionals that obviously, no one can go to all of them. Sometimes watching it is almost as fun as being there. It's obviously not the
Mhm.
same, but yeah, the fact that you were able to watch it and get that experience as a spectator at least was is good. But yeah, I assume you have plans to attend Cincinnati this year. You're not, you know, making any other crazy Antarctica visits or anything like that.
No, it's on my calendar. As soon as I found out I definitely couldn't make it last year, I was like, I have to plan to make it this year. So I definitely plan to attend, and I'm hoping all four of my siblings and me can make it. So yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to it.
Yeah, and I actually remember last year that that Pangolin mentioned that that she was going to try to get your the fourth sibling. You're
Yeah.
and Ruggy also were both like, yeah, we gotta get him out here. So
Mhm.
is he confirmed for Cincinnati?
He's not confirmed. I actually just talked to him last night, and he's been saying he's going to try to get on Fightcade or however.
Mm,
Not even sure he has a way to practice, but it seems like he does. He's just too lazy to get it set up. So I think there's a chance we'll see him in Hartford,
okay,
and we'll
okay.
go from there. Yeah.
Nice. Well, I'm sure, even if he doesn't practice or even if he doesn't play in Cincinnati, I'm sure he'll have a good time. That seems to be.
Mhm.
I don't even know if I don't even remember if Ruggy competed when he was in Columbus last year. But honestly, even if he didn't, I think more than anything, hanging out with everybody. I know he met someone who he knew from another game and community that happened to
Oh
also be
yeah.
in Dr. Mario at our Dr. Mario tournament, which was one of those small world uh,
Yeah.
stories. I thought that was so awesome. But yeah, I mean, I think even if if he doesn't come, he's gonna have a great time. It's always a, a good nice meeting with everybody, and even if he's not familiar with the community, I'm sure everyone will make him feel welcome. We're kind of good at that.
Oh no, no, you're right there. I think he'll have a great time and maybe do pretty well despite a 15-year absence playing. But yeah,
Well, yeah,
I'm
as
hoping it.
Betty in the chat says, you're a family force to be reckoned with. So I'm sure he's got the pedigree on his
Ready.
side. But yeah, like you mentioned, you actually kind of went on a hiatus, and we didn't see you for about 6 months because, like you said, you went to live and work in Antarctica for that span of time. And since that's the most instantly interesting thing about someone I've ever heard, I'd really love if you could tell us all about that because I'm sure everybody would like to know what that was all about and what it was like.
Yeah, I was hired as a janitor at McMurdo Station, which is I think the largest base in Antarctica. Um, and yeah, it's just like living in a very small town that you just can't leave easily. So yeah, I got to see penguins and whales and seals and um, yeah, it was a great time. It's also cool because you have like a very captive group of people. So if you want to start any board game clubs or any kind of thing, there's people that will always attend. So that was kind of beneficial there.
Nice. And is there any like credentials to get into this? Like I've never even heard of anyone who even had this kind of opportunity at all. Like how do you have to be qualified to some extent to be considered for this sort of work, or like how does that work?
Yeah, it depends on which job you go for. So my partner and I both applied for different kind of like low level baseline jobs. And yeah, we didn't think we would get in the first year because from what I had heard getting into it, you kind of have to apply multiple years in a row, and then it shows that you have you're serious about going. But I think we got lucky, and I think they also like to hire couples because it's like a set group um, that's more likely to stay together and not have roommate disputes and stuff. But yeah, I mean, I'm a janitor in my normal. That's kind of my career, so I it worked as far as experience goes. And then my partner got hired as basically a lunch lady, a galley steward, which is a lot. Hundreds of people apply for it apparently, but yeah, I guess if you can pass the background check and the medical requirements, it's very complicated process, but it worked out for us.
Yeah. It's interesting that about having to apply multiple years in a row, because on one hand you think like, who is applying this many times to go to a desolate Arctic continent?
Yeah.
But at the same time, I guess if you're gonna take all these people and bring them that don't know each other and bring them to a desolate place that you can't leave easily, they want to make sure that they're not going to be a problem, and they don't want someone who, at the bare minimum, is going to like show up there thinking that this is amazing, and then like 2 weeks later they're going to be like, "This is horrible. I hate this," and just like
Yeah.
cause issues. So that makes sense when you say you have to apply multiple times, because they're like, well, if they've applied this many years, they probably a lot more likely to like know what they're getting into, not
Mhm.
be an issue or anything like that. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is crazy. And I remember you mentioned that like custodial services is kind of in like your career for the most part, but I
Yeah.
think in Hartford you mentioned that you'd worked like in like the like I don't know, it's not really the parks industry, but like you've worked in like
Um,
as a
yeah.
warden or something like that, I believe.
No, I guess I'm technically a national park ranger, but I'm in maintenance for the National Park Service. So yeah, I guess that's my thing. I guess is just cleaning toilets in very scenic places. Is what I am.
Nice. Well, I mean,
Um,
that's certainly. I'm sure you have a lot of stories from doing all that. Do you
oh yeah.
do you have any similar sort of ambitions or plans to do something similar, maybe in a different place in the future, or anything like that?
Potentially, my other hobby is long distance backpacking. So my next adventure would most likely be like the one that's next on my list is a 600-mile hike in Western Australia. Um, just because I have like 3 months off in the winter, so if I can get that to work logistically, but yeah, some really long walk somewhere would be my next adventure.
Interesting, interesting. You have to forgive my ignorance, but when you say the Western Australia, is that primarily like the outback, where the outback's
It's
located?
not too. It'll be more populated. Like Perth is about where it starts or ends. So yeah, it'll be still pretty some forested and some coastal walking.
Okay,
Um,
but not Antarctica level desolate necessarily. Not
no,
the
no, that might
absolute
have been.
rough.
Yeah, I think Antarctica was probably my most extreme adventure that I'll ever go on. But
Okay. So
yeah,
that was enough for you, I guess. No more, no
I
more extreme. You're not trying to start a survival YouTube channel or anything like that.
no, I know a lot of people who work at Antarctica also do a similar job in there's like a base in Greenland that is kind of a very similar experience. So that's potentially there, but yeah, I think I'm gonna get back into the um hiking
Hmm.
instead of yeah.
Yeah, after the cold, maybe a warmer adventure makes sense first before you think about Greenland. That tracks for sure.
Yeah.
Wow, no, that's yeah. I mean, honestly, I feel like people repeated the whole Antarctica thing so many times it almost became a meme in our community
Oh, yeah.
of like, have did you know that Parula went to Antarctica for 6 months? Because it's just kind of like when you told me that the first time, I thought I misheard you. I was like, you ever hear somebody say something and you're like, there's no way that's what they said. I definitely misheard and heard something else. So I should ask them to repeat themselves. That's what
Yeah.
I thought when you said that. And I was like, then when I realized that was true, I was just like, wow, that's kind of wild. And I feel like everyone's kind of had that reaction.
It's definitely, yeah, I even have that reaction about myself. And while I was there, I would be, walking outside and you could see this beautiful mountain range called the Royal Society Range, and it's just super scenic and it's just very cold and there's the ocean frozen over, and every day I'd be like, "Am I really here?" Um,
It's just like a
yeah.
sense of wonder kind of thing.
Yeah, 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 like, I'm in Antarctica, so that's I still get that feeling, like, I don't believe that I was actually there.
Maybe you just were in a fugue state for 6 months and you dreamed it up all up.
Yeah. Yeah, possibly. Yeah, everything's a simulation.
Did the cold bother you when you were there? Was that a huge issue? Because I mean, as a Canadian, I'm used to cold, obviously, and we've had some pretty cold winters the last couple of years. But the Antarctica is probably another level and probably a lot colder than what you're used to. Is that did that ever become an issue for you? Did it ever bother you to the point where it was like a real problem?
Not so much. It was actually, because it was the summertime, the austral summer there, so,
Mm.
um, it was mostly in, like, the teens, Fahrenheit. And it was actually I was keeping track of the weather back home in Maine, and there were quite a few days that were colder in Maine than it was where I was.
No way, really?
Yeah, like it got down to like single digits, a little negative days, which we also had in Antarctica, but it was mostly the wind that would get to me there.
Yeah,
Um,
the wind is always the killer in the cold for sure. I know
yeah.
that very well by from experience, definitely. Also, I guess because I mean I guess it's the same as the Arctic where the the word is escaping me, but like the sunrise and sunset cycle obviously is very messed up when you're at the top or the bottom of the world. Were you living in like constant daylight or darkness when you were there?
Yeah, that was probably the biggest adjustment. It was constantly sunlight. So when we first got there, there was a little bit of twilight, and then that just fully went away, and the sun was just always out. And then the last week we were there, we had, I think, the very last day there was a sunset that lasted for 20 minutes. That I was I was able to watch that. Um, but it was just super weird, like, you just basically, the sun's just kinda circling around you, and, yeah, there's, like, a coffee house/bar slash bar that people would go into for, like, movie nights and stuff, so you'd come stumbling out of there at, like, 10 p.m. expecting it to be dark, and then it's just, like, full sunlight hitting you. That took me a while to get used to.
Yeah, I can imagine that must have been really trippy. I can't. I the highest I've ever been, I think, is in Edmonton, Alberta, and when the sun set at like 10:45 at night, I thought that was messed up, and I felt tripped out. So, uh, yeah, that must felt like I can understand why you say it feels like it didn't really happen because living in a condition like that almost feels like it can't be real, right? That makes
Yeah.
sense for sure. Yeah, but, while you were there as well, I know that, you didn't get to play in any tournaments or anything like that because obviously you had some internet access, but not great internet access. I did hear, a a rumor of that you were, like, scouring the base for a working Ethernet port so you could try to play, is that true?
Yeah, I did manage, to figure out something. I actually did play. I say it was Archer Lewis who I was able to play like a test out the service, and it was an awful game for lag. But I also I did miss playing real people, so I got my partner who worked in the kitchen, and he kind of saw everybody because everyone passes through the kitchen. I was like, try to find some people for me, some Dr. Mario victims, if you will. And he wound up finding, several, like, Tetris players, and that was the closest I could get. Nobody really out of, like, 800 to 1,000 people, I couldn't find any solid Dr. Mario players,
Oh, man.
but I got, like, 4 people to show up to a little Dr. Mario night, and, they were so bad, I just couldn't I couldn't play against them because they They were all fairly new at it, but it was really fun to watch them play each other because they were the same skill level, and I can see them improving as the night wore on. So that really satisfied my my Dr. Mario needs.
That is, yeah, I can imagine. I'm sure they at least had fun playing against each other. You know,
Yeah.
but you said that you found Tetris players. Were they like NES Tetris players, like classic Tetris?
I'm not exactly sure. So I'd say Tetris players, but it was really one guy had like a Tetramino tattoo on his arm.
Whoa, okay.
He was serious about it at one point in his life. I'm not sure what format. Another guy I invited because he had mentioned Blue Scooty at one point. So it's like, okay, that's a Tetris reference. It's close enough. And yeah, so I'm not sure. I think one of them had an ex-girlfriend who played in a CTWC event or something. So it's all kind of Tetris adjacent, but I'm not sure what
Mm,
level.
well, I'm sure we'll get there one day. At least we had one Dr. Mario player in Antarctica. So maybe
Yeah.
in the future we can increase our numbers across the world, including there. uh,
Yeah, I was hoping to be put in the immunity pool maybe for this year, just as the another continent champion, but it didn't work out as a full tournament that I was trying to run.
yeah, you should have asked if you could run an official Antarctica regional, and then you could have just won it
Yeah,
for yourself. It would have been perfect.
yeah,
Awesome. Well, yeah, that's so wild to me. I mean, the whole Antarctica experience. It sounds like you really enjoyed it. Maybe that'll be something. I'm sure that's something you'll remember forever. But uh, you know, hopefully you have some more extreme adventures in your future. But in our future, I think we have some match analysis. So if you want to get into that, let's bring it up. Just to preface for everyone watching, this is uh, the semifinals at the Louisville Regional earlier this year, where Parula played against Coop, and unfortunately, it was a 3-1 victory for Coop. But we're gonna review some things and see what happened. I will say that we played a little bit in the days leading up to this, and I feel like, and obviously I wasn't super watching your game. I was a little busy worrying about my own game, but I feel like maybe you've already learned some of the lessons that I'm gonna point out in this review. So uh, maybe it'll be redundant, but hopefully it'll be useful and for you and everybody watching. But we'll get into it. You did win the first crown, so let's start with the good news, and then we'll go from there.
yes,
So
downhill from there.
I'll start playing this. I'm actually going to mute the. So I always like to look at the first pill and talk about that. Before we do that, what is like your general opening strategy when you start off a game? Just
Um,
in general.
yeah, I've gotten into a pretty um, strong habit of always trying to find a horizontal combo right off the bat. Unless there's an obvious like this one, I would probably put the yellow off to clear one of the side yellows, but um, no, no, I usually just always, no matter what, try to get a weird side combo, which sometimes works out for me, sometimes doesn't.
Okay, that makes sense. And it's funny because well, we'll see what you actually do here in just a second. But um, I've always thought like that going for like looking for easy doubles at the start is just usually the best way to get that first combo. But there are a lot of boards where that's not possible, and also a lot of boards where sometimes the quickest combo to get right off the bat is actually involving a horizontal. So
Mhm.
yeah, I think horizontals are just very powerful anyway. Especially at the top of the screen where you don't always have the vertical clearance to do everything that you want with absolute comfort and confidence. So
Yeah,
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 I definitely think that is a good start. And you mentioned on this board in particular, you would probably go to the sides here and maybe do something like this or something like this, try to clear off one of these yellows on the side. And that when I looked at this before I saw what you did, that was my first instinct too. And then I thought to myself, you know what would be really amazing and the a great horizontal opportunity to make, especially with a double pill, would be to put it right here, and
yeah,
to do a cross. And I didn't see that right away. And in a real game, I don't know if I would have found it, but that is what I ultimately came up with. And then, much to my surprise, when we start off this game, the That's exactly what you do. And I was so happy when you did the same move that I found, because I was like, that's such a weird move, and I don't know if they'll see it. Coop obviously didn't. He just set it up as like a horizontal for his future, but I think that's huge because now you have a red yellow. You're probably going to drop it, and I mean, you know, spoilers,
Yeah,
but
I
like,
forgot I did. I In preparation for this, I started watching this one to see if it was a good enough one, and I remember watching this very first move. I forgot I had done this, and I was like, what was that? I don't know if I would do that again, but it worked out great.
well,
I
yeah, I
remember
mean,
correct.
if it makes you feel any better, I think it was probably the best opening move you could have made. So
Yeah,
that's super good that you did that. And I'm assuming that you're gonna end up putting the red yellow on top because you can drop it down. That's the best part. You don't even need, because it's sort of on the lower level of the board. You don't even need a double yellow to complete this, which maybe is asking
right.
for a lot. You can drop it down. So yeah, absolutely awesome. First move here, which is what you do. And then we just kind of get into it, and you're doing some things, and you do finally get the drop. It didn't actually work out into the cross, but things happen.
Yeah,
That's okay. So I made a note here, because I guess the garbage, yeah, this red garbage is about to cap off here on column 8, and you from here are gonna make some moves, get a combo. That's fine. Get a little more garbage, and then you're just gonna kind of use these red pills to prioritize the center. And I'm wondering if at this point you're thinking about this red garbage here in column 8, if this is something
yeah.
that you're trying to plan for at any in any way.
I'm definitely those situations I tend to like start to tackle expecting it to be messed up again and then figure it out later. Although I do sometimes just immediately try to work up to get that horizontally solved.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think
Uh,
it's incorrect to leave it there necessarily. I mean, it really depends what kind of pills you get, but if you do ever get the chance, especially on the right side, it's harder to get pills over to the edge that side. But the longer you leave it, the longer it's gonna to fester there. So, especially with a double red coming up, I think it would be better maybe to try to put it like this and see if you could get it over. I'm sure not everyone's gonna be comfortable making moves like that, but if you can, then uh, I think that is good. You can also look into trying to like build up to some kind of horizontal here and see if maybe you can put a
right.
yellow up top and maybe make a combo out of it. So they're all little ways that you can address garbage pieces like this and turn them into something good, even though they're this situation when you get the garbage on a spire like that is probably like one of the worst pieces of garbage you can get, especially at the start. Like it's just an awful situation to be in. And I've seen
Mm,
people lose games over ignoring this stuff, and just because they don't really know how to deal with it and they don't want to think about it, then they're just too focused on the rest of the board and comboing and all that. Um,
right.
and it's not in it like at this point that we're looking at now, there isn't really a super great way to do that. You really will have to build like a platform up to it and maybe make some kind of garbage, leave some garbage behind. But generally, I think that's worth it to just try to deal with this as soon as you can, assuming you get the right pills to actually do that before it gets any worse and your opponent continues to pressure you and make more garbage on the top or something like that.
Right.
Alrighty, yeah, just playing pretty standard. I love that little tuck in here. There's a great use of this double yellow. I think that like people don't use doubles to do horizontals enough. Doubles are like the greatest pill for any kind of horizontal setup or idea that you want to do. You don't have to worry about the other half of the pill. You don't necessarily even need like a full platform. It can sort of bridge like one column gaps if you don't have a platform to make a horizontal. It's just so nice. You are going to have to do that on one side here, but I just thought this move was so good that you just kind of
Mm,
saw it and slipped it in there so that you could get the yellow that was next to it, that was kind of under these reds. And it'll just, when you do finally clear it, it'll just clean up the middle so nicely. And you'll probably get a combo out of it. If you ever get a blue on this spot here, then it's just going to make a combo. And then you'll have it
yeah,
in
and
the center.
I'm not sure if this is what I'm going for either, but it also has the added benefit of kind of making a platform to get that right side horizontally cleared, possibly.
On the right side over
Uh,
here,
it might be no, well, the red piece on the top of the yellow. Sometimes I'll do stuff like this to allow for clearing that garbage, the red garbage.
You mean like to set up like the red yellows, and I think you might actually end up doing this, but to set it up like that and just kind of like drop yellows down to
Yeah.
make the platform
Um,
and maybe a T or so at some point.
yeah, that might be what I'm trying to go for to get prioritize that side. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean it's always hard to know what you're thinking like watching it back, uh, especially like in the heat of a game. Uh, it- it's easy to in hindsight with the game pause to look at all this stuff and talk about it and think about it. But when you're in the
Yeah.
heat and the pressure of a game and you have a split second, you don't necessarily a lot of it becomes instinct. So it's totally normal not to know what you were thinking and to
Yeah.
be able to reflect on that definitely. And
Yeah.
also, by the way, as we go through this, if you do see anything yourself that you want to comment on or talk about, feel free to let me know and we can stop and go back and look at something if you think there's something important that I'm not seeing or mentioning or anything like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Let's keep it going and see. It looks like you are going to drop it down. Yeah, actually you dropped this yellow down here. It would have been nice if you had dropped it the same way and just you would have had the T set up here. I don't know, maybe that was a
Yeah.
misdrop. It is at the top of the board there, so it could be because it seems like this is the idea you were trying to go for. But um,
Yeah,
yeah,
bring it down.
yeah. I mean, little inefficiencies like that are not the end of the world. But when you're playing against players like Coop and the people at the top level, I think it's just little things like this that end up getting you. It's just one extra
Mm.
little piece. Sometimes you can make you can make something out of it, make a combo, but yeah, just small little things I think definitely can add up and cause problems. Because now you won't get a T, you won't even get a combo if you were to put the yellow red like if you were to position it like that. You'll get the
Yeah.
horizontal, that's fine, but you could have had a combo, and that's a huge difference over what seems like a really small thing. But you'll get a double yellow, so you get the T anyway. See,
Pretty lucky. Yeah.
well, it's better to be lucky than good, so it's fine. We'll take it. We'll drop that down, and you do end up clearing off the right side, so that's great. Left side is still kind of an issue, but you have some ideas there as well. Oh yeah, wow, yeah.
Going
We're
for
we're
the
extending this like to the max, but you do end up
yeah.
getting there. Still going. I just noticed it now. I didn't make a note about this, but we did put this yellow blue that's right here in column 5. Um, I guess we're doing
Yeah.
like a horizontal setup here.
I think I'm just uncomfortable with that right side being I like that trying to tackle it, but you could also see I shook my head. So I didn't feel good about that move. Yeah,
Yes,
so I wasn't fully feeling it.
I'll say that I did notice a lot of head shaking when I was going over
Yes.
this. So yeah, I do feel like you probably had some regrets about this one. A couple of different moments, but yeah, I mean,
Mhm.
to me, I was kind of just surprised that this yellow column didn't get taken down to try to get into here. But there, like I was saying, it is important to deal with this. The spire is an issue, and we'd like to clear this blue out and eventually get a blue here and just topple column 7, make a combo. So not that it's just that this red being here, I feel like if we drop this down first, then you clear the way, because now this red is really difficult to get out of the way, and we can't make this horizontal happen until we do. So it's
Mhm.
a little rough to put ourselves in that position, um, but it's the right idea either way. And obviously, like you said, you were not you didn't feel you as soon as you made that move, you weren't feeling it, and I do
Yeah.
that all the time, so it makes perfect sense.
Going for it though.
Yep. And then we do end up dropping it down, so that's good. And then we can potentially get that blue horizontal. We get a little more charity clears. I
Yeah, I
made an.
find it difficult to yeah, I really go for the teas like too much sometimes. Um,
Yeah, and I think that's probably what I was about to comment on here. I guess so. You did this move with the yellow red to do the T. I was kind of thinking in the moment that like just going for this double would have been easier because now you're a yellow away, and then this yellow blue even could go like this, and then the blue will fall down here, and then you'll have like a nice little sort of set up for another combo after that. So just taking
Mhm.
that combo rather than extending the T, because I think the T eventually, this red T, even after you do the double, we could still get that T later, even after you clear that out, or even if you, or maybe like a horizontal, a double with a horizontal or something like that. Uh, like this yellow here and red will still be, well, actually that's where you placed it, but you could place another one there. Like, do you have other ideas? And I just usually tend to focus on getting to a combo in as few moves as possible, whatever it is. That's kind of why I was looking at the yellow red, and I was surprised you were really going for it. And I think you keep extending it even beyond that,
Yeah.
but you end up getting there, and that's okay. But now it's just, well, you're going to get this too. Um, it ends up really working out. Maybe it's all the same in the end, honestly. And you get another combo there as well. I wrote down that you have an awesome combo find coming up here in a second. Yeah. So this double blue. When you put this double blue down, I'm like, that's perfect, because we're back to this blue garbage that we were talking about. Again, like I was saying, people don't use horizontals like this nearly often enough. They really don't. Like, uh, the doubles are usually, I think a lot of people, I think, would have been really tempted to just put this double blue right here, because it's like perfect for the double setup. This is like the very basic bread and butter thing that everybody does and everyone knows how to do. So people are always going to be sort of tunnel visioned on looking for stuff like this, but you prioritize this blue needing to be cleared out and use the double blue in like a really smart way. As soon as I saw this, I was like, oh yeah, that's such a good move. I
Yeah.
loved that.
I think it comes down to, in this case too, I'm just really uncomfortable with that spire there, and I didn't get to tackle it earlier, so I'm still pretty fixated on it. But yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But the fact that you got a double blue, and then not even that, not only did you use it for the horizontal, but you also put it in the center columns, and you didn't put it in 5 6, where you could have got the horizontal and got a double, sure, but now you're going to probably get a cross, and it just extended a little further, and I think you probably have time to do that. So, yeah, I just thought that was such a good move when I saw this. And we don't end up getting the cross anyway. We'll get a quad for the trouble, so that's definitely worth it.
Yeah.
And also, it's just so key to restore the flatness of the board and just give you opportunities. But then Coop tops out, and you take it. So yeah, like you had some
Mhm.
initial garbage. If we just go back very briefly here to closer to the start of the game, like in this situation where you have this horrible column 2 and 7 is really high up, and I think even before that, like when things were like looking like this is not really
Mhm.
the ideal board that you want to see. But you could recover from it well, and you kept using combos to keep pressuring Coop as this was happening. And I mean, if you look at his board in this spot, he looked like he's way ahead on board health. And then somehow from here, maybe there was a misplay on his side. I didn't really look at his board, but within 30 seconds, he's like at the top of the board, and he's like 20 seconds away from topping out at this point, even because you just kept.
Yeah, and
Sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
it's, yeah, it's really fun playing against Coop because I feel like we have pretty somewhat similar play styles. So we end a lot of our games this way with just quick top outs.
Mhm.
Um, I've learned against Coop, I have to really keep the early combo game going strong because he'll just unlock me early on. Otherwise,
Yeah, fair enough. But at the same time, like you weren't just going for combos. The combos that you were doing um, were conducive to your board health as well. Like for example, when I pointed out that you didn't go for the double setup, you went for the cross instead, and getting that blue horizontal like that. Those are the things that really make a difference. And I think he probably didn't do that in his game, and that's probably why he topped out so quickly. But yeah, that's game one, and we got a crown on the board, which is great. It unfortunately does go all downhill from here, but that's what we're here for, to learn from mistakes and get
yeah,
better. So let's get started with that. So game two, actually took a little bit of time on this one too, because I think this is another one where the opening is really not clear. There's no obvious move like there is sometimes on the first pill. So what were you like? Well, in the moment right now, what are you thinking for the double blue on this one?
and I feel like I might go horizontal and columns five six.
In 5-6,
Uh,
yeah. That's pretty much what I thought as well. I had some other ideas because I always like when I, especially when I maybe in a regular game, I would have just seen 5-6 and gone, yeah, sure, that's fine. And I just do it and probably not think about it any more than that. But when I have the time to really analyze it, I like to think about what other possibilities are there, what other ideas could I do. And the one thing that, like, I agree that this is a totally fine move. Then I started to think about it more. I thought, the biggest thing I don't like about this is that on this 5, 6, 4, 5, 6, 7 columns, we have like a red blue double setup and a blue yellow double setup, and as soon as we put it here, we're breaking both of those. We can't
mm,
easily get, unless we get the right pills, obviously, but these are already set up for us for like if we get a run of red blues or blue yellows, and this is kind of breaking it. And that's honestly more likely than to get a run of double blues in this game. So I thought you could also potentially go for like an edge column. You could do something like that just for efficiency's sake. You could
mm.
put it also. The other one I found was potentially to put it here and then go for like the red horizontal. I
Yeah,
don't.
I'm not. That's something I feel like I would do, maybe not in this case just because it's right in the middle there, but,
Yeah,
it's not something I
the fact that it's in
overlook. Yeah,
the fact that it's in column 4. This is definitely a spicy option and probably not the right one, but it was an
I like
idea. Yeah, because honestly, you don't even necessarily need to get a third blue on top of here. As long as the red pill that you put in column 3 is a red blue like
that.
that, these blues will fall down and resolve into a horizontal, and then you just red yellow, ideally red blue this one, and then you get a horizontal combo anyway. You don't really have to put your fourth column in danger any more than that. So it's an idea. I always think these kinds of horizontal setups are a lot better. Like if there was already a red virus here, this would be a lot better because it's just one less pill to get there, which can in the opening be the whole difference. But I always like looking for stuff like this in openings as well. But honestly, having said all that, I think this is probably fine. I don't think it's a big deal because I mean you can just get a red yellow and now you have your red blue set up again here, and you can get a yellow blue here, and then you have your yellow blue set up again. So, it's
Yeah,
probably fine. But I do like to look for other options like that and think about it. But I think that's mostly okay. I don't actually remember what you did now that I think about it. But let's see. I'm assuming it's probably going to be 5-6 because that's kind of the obvious one. Yeah.
yeah.
Coop, I always like to look at the other person too. Coop strangely put it vertically. Um, Not an idea that I thought about. Not really sure what happened there. But
Might work out.
we'll see. Yeah. And eventually you do get a combo here. And we get this
And it's still
awful, awful
yeah.
garbage. Uh, and we'll see what you do that. Now, I had a note here that you at 255. I don't actually remember what I noted here. I said something about breaking a combo setup that you had, and I can't remember.
Huh.
This red yellow, we had a, oh yes, yeah. So you took the horizontal here, but we have a blue red in the next box, and you actually have a combo setup ready to go, ready to fire if you just put it
Oh, I
here.
see that.
And I didn't know if you just kind of didn't know where else to put this, which happens sometimes. But I think the best thing to do with this would have been just to lay it flat in 6-7, cover up the blues. Just put it. If I back up a little bit here,
Yeah, I think I was focused on bringing that down because I was worried more garbage, um, would be a problem.
yeah, I would have just put it down like this red yellow. I probably would put it just like here, which is seems weird, but it's just so that it's there and it's not clearing
Yeah.
this horizontal and it's not making a big. It's like the only real place you can put it where it doesn't take this out and isn't like an absolutely ridiculous move. And then you can take that combo. So that I think was maybe that's hard to see in the moment, but I think that was kind of the start of what happened here. So
Yeah,
yeah,
it was definitely panic with the that blue garbage.
yeah, and then he is just getting his combo game started, and then we just kind of struggle at the top of the board here for a bit as a result of that, and he is just really going off. But
Yeah, it's tough in the beginning.
yeah, especially if you're not the first one off the blocks. But you're still finding combos. This is an absolutely horrendous column 6, but it's not really much you can do about it. I don't think that could have really been prevented once we missed that combo. Yeah, it's just really tough.
I missed a combo there too.
Oh, really? I didn't even see that. Where was it? Oh.
Um, I think all the way on the left, I could have that
Oh,
one.
yes. You could have tucked it in here. I see what you're talking about. You could have done. Nope.
Yeah,
Oh.
it's a little bit tricky in the panic of the moment, but
Yeah, and I mean, even if you were worried about missing the tuck, you could have even just. Wow,
yeah,
I don't know my
yep.
colors. You could have put it like this, and then the yellow red
There's
brings
a
it
next
down on the
piece.
next pill as well, and you get the
Yeah.
combo. You get a triple out of that. So then that might have honestly even been better to just extend it to a triple in one pill. So yeah, I mean honestly, I didn't
Mhm.
even see this when I reviewed it. So yeah, it is definitely not easy to see in the moment. I mean, wow, you could have. I'm seeing so much now. You could have even put it like this, and then the yellow takes the blue down, then you get a
Yeah.
horizontal red combo. Like you had a lot of options here. But yeah, I didn't. I totally missed it as well. I didn't see any problem with this move. When you're especially at the top of the board, it's hard. It's so difficult to see these sorts of things. But now we'll get the blue red combo that we
Mhm.
talked about. We're trying to get this yellow taken down. And I noticed something. Yeah. So one, there was something I did notice here. So if we go back for a second, this blue red that you put here makes total sense. Obviously, we want to clear the blue sandwich here. We want to get the edge column out of there. Maybe make a combo yellow here. But I feel like in this case, because you have this column 6 here, going for this
Mhm.
red horizontal is probably better. Not only because column 6 is just going to be a guaranteed combo that's already set up, but also it could this, if you get all the reds across, you make a T as well. So there's just a lot more combo potential doing this also, and
Yeah,
it's
I
not
agree
that
with that.
yeah, it's not that this move was like horrible at any by any means, but it, it makes perfect sense. It's just a matter of just prioritizing this column over the edge, basically.
Mhm.
And that was the one thing. And I think that, yeah, I noted here that after, as we'll see it in a second, but after this, like things start to get really chaotic and on the board, and it becomes difficult for you to recover. And I think that would have gone a long way because it would have just opened everything up for you to take these. To take this red horizontal T, and you would have had a bit more space in the middle. You would have had column 6 and then access to column 7, and it just would have opened up your board health so much more to go for that. And now we're going for this, and you do get that horizontal up there. But now, because of what happened in column 2 and 3, because we couldn't complete that, now we're just totally out of room here. And
Yeah, and then the lucky clear.
yeah, you do open things up again a little bit now because you got some good pills on that. And we're gonna go for a T, which is fair, even at the top. We finally get a double blue for that, and
Oof.
you barely get that over. I was like, I can't remember if you top out there or not.
Yeah, I think there were a bunch of those kind of moments in this match where I really thought I was gonna top out and then lasted quite a bit
Yeah,
longer.
I didn't. You do last for quite a bit longer, and I actually didn't note anything for about 2 full minutes because it's basically just you doing what you can to survive, and there's not much to really say because it's all pretty much forced moves. Not really a whole lot of choice in what you can do. You're getting the combos where you can get them, and you're putting the pills. You're just playing the pills as they come, really, hoping you can make something out of it because this is a pretty
Yeah,
rough spot to be in. And you're doing a relatively good job of it, but I just saw you shake your head again, just like this is
I'm not
not a
gonna
fun
survive
time.
this.
Well, I mean, you say you're not going to survive, but you do survive for quite some time. You open up the right side now, and that's definitely good. But we're even starting to clear some of column 8. We find a T, and that's actually doesn't even look half bad, to be honest,
No,
at this point. But um, we've got a mess all over the place, and now we just have to find ways to sort it out and continue making combos here. I did randomly see this double blue just down in the pit here. I don't think that's horrible, honestly. I like filling gaps even with off colors. It's not that big a deal. I just saw this move just now, just to try to make
oh,
a
I
combo
see.
out of it. That's all. Not a big deal.
Yeah, it's one thing I've been trying to work on is filling those big gaps in the board because that's been messing me up. If someone stun locks me, it just takes that much longer.
Yeah, I personally I like when I can just cap it off, kind of like you did with this red blue pill right here, where you put
Yeah.
this in and now it's just kind of blocked without having to fill the gap with a bunch of nonsense that you have to deal with later, because that can be a huge pain, especially if it's split pills and you like traffic light yourself trying to fill up a whole gap. It's just no good. So I just like to cap it just with one pill half hanging off the side or something, and that just seems that way you get the effect of sort of reducing the drop time and hopefully not getting stun locked, but you don't fill the pit with too much nonsense.
Mhm.
We're gonna get that red tea. That's great. We're doing things, and I noted here.
Yeah, I could have
Yeah.
done a
So
combo
basic.
there.
Yeah, basically, well, yeah, you have a combo that's coming up here. But what I was gonna say is that, well, what I noted is that you like compared to 2 minutes ago, the board looks so much better than it did, and it's awesome that you were able to make that recovery. And then looking over Coop's board, I don't know how that happened, but that is awful looking. We're not going to get into it, but like just one look at it makes me want to puke. But yeah, the one thing I did note about that is that I think that clearly looking at Coop's board, something went wrong on his side of things, like a misdrop or something like that. And I
Mhm.
think that like, despite the recovery being very good, I think if you were playing like a snipe level player, that it might not have been possible to make that recovery. Even though you did manage to dig yourself out of it and you did recover, I just wanted to point out that like doesn't necessarily mean that like everything that was done in this match was definitely good. um, because I think if someone against like Snipe who is able to just keep combo pressure and not make whatever mistake caused this mess on Coop's side of the board, especially when you're in one of those really dire situations, because it was looking pretty bad for you. You were almost at the top of your board. I think that would have probably sealed the match right then and there. Obviously,
Yeah.
that's nothing to do with this match in particular, but I just wanted to point it out because it's easy to look at this and go, "Oh, it's totally fine. I recovered it, and it's no big deal." But that doesn't mean you shouldn't think about how could I have avoided that in the first place. Because when you play against better players, they aren't going to let you get away with stuff like that, and we want to
Mhm.
avoid those situations in the first place whenever it's possible. So I just wanted to do that. And also I noted that like the best thing to do once you clear out this whole center situation, which it looks like you're about to do, is to figure out how to attack this right side.
Mhm.
I would probably just empty clear this blue if you get a double blue. That's the first thing that I would do. I might have even done it with this blue pill that you put here. I might have put that here just to clear the right side down a bit, because you're going to get a combo here anyway. This double blue doesn't even actually contribute anything. The combo's already loaded with a single blue
Right.
pill half, so we could have cleared off
Yeah.
the right side in that case, and then you have yellow reds that are coming in the next box right now that you could have laid here to open up your right side entirely, and now you're actually very flat on the board, and everything's actually looking even better. That's basically the biggest problem that you have on the board right now, and it could have been pretty quickly fixed if we'd prioritized it like that. But
Mm.
yeah, from there you should that's what we should be focusing on from here on out, ideally. And we make that horizontal, we get a triple, and that's great. And our right side gets capped off, and that's not great. Now we really have to be looking for horizontal opportunities. I don't think I mentioned this, but I just saw this red yellow pill. I want to go back and I want to make this garbage fall, and I want to show you this move because
Yeah,
I
that's
think
actually what I saw,
yeah,
in this one. Yeah.
it's funny how
Kinda
much
surprised.
it's funny how much you'll see if you just have literally another half second to think about things compared to like an actual game when you have trying to focus
Mhm.
on the entire board at the same time. But yeah, it'll just eventually like this just extends into a red L combo, and then if you ever get another yellow, you can get a triple out of it. Um, then from there, we're probably clearing blue horizontal. We're chopping this column down, and maybe we can even save it. Uh, but yeah, from here, like you really like, especially if you have a column like this, even if it seems like there's not a lot of horizontal opportunities, like I always try to figure out what sort of horizontal I can make out of it. Even if it's just a horizontal, just remove one piece out of the column and make an L or a T or something, or like a double combo or anything like that, just to try to get those down. If you watch players like Snipe, one thing that I've noticed from watching his games in the monthly checkup and even at the live event in Torg, his board is always clean. Like if you look at Coop's board right now, I've you never see Snipe have a board like this, especially at the end game. He's never got like loaded columns. He always fixes them. He always prioritizes keeping the board really flat and making sure that his end game is clean. And yeah, and he usually ends up winning by end game most of the time. He doesn't usually top people out, I find, unless he's just way above their level and they can't survive. So he that's like why I always recommend looking for stuff like that. Obviously, Coop is going to win this one, and honestly, I don't really know how because wow, that's a board, all right. But but
Yeah.
yeah, just looking for horizontals, even where it seems like it's not an obvious setup in the column, or the column looks like a traffic light mess. Even if you're not taking the column out and you're just bringing it down one row, bringing it down row by row is sometimes the only option you have, and as long as you can make combos doing it, it's perfectly fine.
Yeah, I think that's one thing I've been trying to work on is I tend not to care about my garbage and I wind up with very messy boards. And Snipe, yeah, watching Snipes games, he's so good at like he'll even wait for a piece so that the um, remainder garbage that he produces goes somewhere helpful.
Yeah,
And
he's
I've definitely
very
just
yeah, he's very good at doing that. I've definitely noticed it, but even if you don't see the specific moves he's doing, you just always tend to notice that at the end of every one of his games, like the board it never has loaded columns. It always looks so clean. And
Mhm.
I think that's a huge contributor to his success and why he's so difficult to beat, because he just never has games where he gets tripped up by awful boards or even small little pieces of garbage. Like you rarely even see like a situation that you have with like on the left with the yellow red on column one and yellow. Like this is basically nothing. It's totally manageable, but he barely ever even has situations like that because he just prioritizes it so highly. And I'm not really sure how he manages to do that and continue to combo people at the rate that he does. But that's why
Yeah.
he's the best. So definitely, I think it's a strategy that people should be adopting from him if only we can figure out how to play like that. But I
Yeah.
think that's probably the start of it, is looking just for any kind of horizontal opportunities, anything that cleans things up, while obviously keeping combo pressure going and all that. So I will keep it going here. And I think I've got to have a comment for quite some time, actually. But we're still trucking and things are looking good. I almost want to go back and watch Coop's match and review it after this, just like after we're done here, just to see how he recovers from whatever's going on here. He must
Yeah,
bring
I'm
these col
curious too.
he must bring these columns down at some point, but that's for another time for sure. Oh, I just yeah, I think you saw it too. I think I saw the same thing. I think you was this. I'm assuming this was a misdrop, and you meant to flip this the other way because you really wanted to clear this out.
Yeah, even that though would have been pretty risky, I think.
It would have,
Because
but it would clean up so nicely. I almost don't care. Like
yeah,
if assuming that this was flipped the correct way and it was actually red and blue, like we would want another any red pill fixes this. Like you could just put a double red here. You could put another red blue like this. You could even put a red yellow like this if you could get it over in time to make a triple. Like it's and then this whole your whole side is completely open. And if it gets blocked, it gets blocked. But you can't just. I mean, if you don't do it, then the seven will definitely get blocked eventually, more than likely. So you kind of just have to try. So I don't fault you for trying. It's just unfortunate that we misdropped it the wrong way, because now it's kind of, well, I wouldn't say it's unsavable, but it's going to be really difficult after that misdrop to clear this out.
yeah.
Of course, you get garbage in the worst possible column, but you get a double. That's fine. You're definitely fine. I'm assuming this double yellow was also meant to go all the way over.
Yeah, likely, yeah.
Do you know how to blink?
I do. I think I do. I actually don't know.
Okay, because that I mean, in situations like this, especially when the speed starts to pick up, because you are quite a lot faster drop speed than Coop at this point, but it's really helpful to the left for getting things over. You can get things over on the very first row of the board, even at really high speeds, at least to the second and
Yeah,
third columns if you blink over, if you know how to do it.
I do, yeah, I think sometimes it just doesn't I wasn't prepared enough for that,
Yeah,
that winter sem
it is a weird input, so you kind of have to get used to like organically doing it while you're playing, for sure.
Mhm,
Just training yourself to even remember to do it and to do it on command. It's not actually that hard to physically press the buttons correctly, but in the moment, it feels so much harder than it actually is. But
yeah, it just has to be intentional, and it
yeah,
doesn't feel like it's gonna work, but yeah.
exactly. And I don't think a lot of people honestly use blinking on a regular basis. But I think they should, because even if it's just corner cases like this, or like if you had a blue all the way up to, I love like when I have a blue all the way up to column two or row two, excuse me, and you have blues like all the way up to here, and then you see a blue come out on the left side, you can just blink it over in one input, and just in one shot it'll just go like this, and then you can save your columns in cases where without blinking you would have lost the column for good, or you'd have had to find some other solution. So it just gives you
Mhm.
extra options by doing that. But yeah, obviously, clearly you didn't mean to do this, but I was just curious if that was something that you incorporated in your play at all.
Yeah, yeah, I think I do. Yeah.
And this looks pretty good. Um, well, that's too bad. I think we had a combo there, but
Yeah, I messed up a setup too.
yeah. Well, I saw this where you could have just put it in, and but as long as the yellow ends up here somehow, you had a
Oh,
double
yeah, yeah.
that you missed, that you set up for as well, and then you end up
Yeah,
breaking it. But it is what it is. Now, at this point, I also mentioned that, like I was saying before, Coop's board was like pretty awful, and in this case right now, it seems about equally awful, but it's honestly a lot better, and well, better than it was at least. Compared to the board that you have, obviously your board health is not ideal, but seems pretty good. And I think most people would probably say that you have the better board in this state. But I think, especially because he's about to clear a massive combo, let's forget about that for a second. But,
mhm,
but I think that he actually does have technically a better board here, just because, well, he has the combo potential, obviously, like we said, but he just has a much flatter board. The problem with your board is like you, because it's red blue up here, like these columns are totally lost, and this red left side is not nearly as bad, but it's still an issue. Whereas Kukan has
mhm.
the potential to clean up everything on the board that we're seeing here, whereas you can, and but it'll be a lot more difficult. You have a lot less potential to do it efficiently, and without being blocked off. So I think that's going to contribute to part of the reason why this game doesn't go your way. And obviously, we'll see him clear this huge combo here. He gets a big quad, and he'll clear some more things. He's just kind of doing empty clears and making teas. And yeah, within 10 seconds already, now you can see the difference. That's kind of what I was
Yeah,
talking about. Like 10 seconds later, he only really placed like 4 or 5 pills, and already his board looks insanely better to compared to yours. So it's, yeah, that's just kind of to highlight the issues with like prioritizing taking the columns down, because even if your board looks as awful as this, when it's flat and you have access to all 8 columns like this, it's so much easier to make more combos. It makes your end game a lot simpler and easier to do and more efficient. um, Sometimes it's just not possible to keep all your columns alive, but when they're blocked off like yours are in 7 and 8 right now, it's just so it's just so bad, to be honest. Like it's just it really makes a huge difference. And again, like I was saying, Snipe really prioritizes keeping his board even. I think that's a big part of it, because once you have a situation like this, at the very least, you have, because you have this red blue here, you kind of have a pseudo like umbrella situation. So if you do get to the end game, it is going to protect your right side from garbage, which is where most of your viruses are right now. But I think I would always take Coop's board over yours in this spot. And
yeah,
that's
I agree.
yeah,
And I would say sometimes I just kind of take that, accidental umbrella and run with it, but this board isn't the best. There's just so many, viruses on that side that it, um
yeah, and they're really packed in. The nice thing is that there are actually some. I mean, I don't think the game actually gets to this point, but there are actually horizontal opportunities in some of these to clear in the middle, and then you can under clear from there. Ideally,
Mm,
leaving the top viruses for last so that you don't collapse this whole all these columns onto the viruses below. But uh, these are all kind of doubled up both vertically and horizontally in some way, so it's actually not that bad as it could be. But yeah, when they're all packed in like this, it can be an issue. And it's
mhm,
always obviously slower than clearing them from above and having a flat board, which is the ideal situation to be in, obviously. But we'll keep watching from here. So I did make more notes here. Yeah, I made a note about this garbage here. Like this is the biggest issue I think on the board, and given how bad your situation is, I think you should just try to vertical clear it. And that's pretty dangerous at the speed at the top of the board, but you don't really have a choice. Um, and you're going to see in a few seconds that I think that that's probably what tops you out in a short few moments. But like this blue just has to go because if it gets any more garbage on it, now you might as well say goodbye to columns 1 and 2, and you have no yellows in the center and not a lot of space. And like we're just in a dire situation, and we just need to do what we need to do to make sure that these blues go away, and that we can then get rid of the reds and just try to keep open space and keep the game alive so that we have a chance of coming back. But we don't, and then we get a little more garbage. We still don't clear on this blue.
mhm.
Yellow goes here. We're still clearing more blues. We're clearing every blue except for this one, and then this double yellow garbage basically ends the game because we didn't we got plenty of blues. We absolutely could have cleared this, uh, and and then eventually the red below, and then even if this garbage hadn't been the perfect for the yellow below, it would have been still so much better than this, which is pretty much like this is pretty much your death warrant right here. Like there's no way you can come back from this garbage unless you get like the perfect double yellow, which you do not, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, the early there were some early issues that seemed like very small problems that I think could have gotten you out of the situation that you end up finding yourself in if we had seen them, and then from there, just like little situations where there were certain elements of board health that should have been prioritized a little more, and I think that's what led to this. And honestly, Coop's board was so terrible that if you had just stabilized your board sooner and then started that awesome combo game that you have, you probably could have just killed him. But we did. So I think this game actually was salvageable, even if it wasn't easy. I think you definitely, if anything, you definitely could have done it if you just given yourself a little more space and a little more board health at the start, because those small issues ended up snowballing for you and led to this point, which topped you out, unfortunately. But
Yeah.
that's I think that's the lesson to take away from this game for sure. Did you
Mhm.
have any thoughts on this one before you, or anything you want to talk about before we move on to the next one?
Um, no, not really. I do, I'm a little it's always a little surprising to watch your own games, but yeah, I'm surprised they don't try to go for that blue, garbage at the end, and I still am not sure I could've made a comeback at that point, but,
Well, I mean, his board does look good, and I'm not saying that you definitely would have won if you'd cleared that blue garbage or anything, but I think that if your best chance to win is definitely to clear that blue garbage away, even if he ends up getting there and it's uh very unlikely. You never know. I mean, this Dr. Mario is kind of one of those games. I mean, if you end up keeping the game alive, that's giving him more time to make a mistake. Maybe he misdrops. Maybe you start comboing with your extra space and you get the perfect garbage 3 times in a row, and all of a sudden his board is awful, and then he misdrops again, and then you can eventually get back from there. It's that's just kind of the best way to think about it. So even because if you never count yourself out, even when it seems like it's basically impossible, you'll be surprised how many games that you'll end up actually winning. There's been a lot of games where I thought I could, at a certain point I thought there's no way I can lose, and then I lost. There's been games where I thought, oh, I'm never going to come back from this, and I ended up winning. So, it just happens. Garbage is random. You can get lucky, so you might as well give yourself the chance to get lucky, and try to steal crowns from people, because if you never do, then you'll never get those. There's a lot of wins you'll miss out on if you don't at least try and just do your best to stay in it.
yeah, yep.
Yeah. Alrighty. I'll go to the next one. I think you guys start them up pretty quick. I think, except for this time when I said it out loud in front of everyone. Okay, perfect. All right, awesome. So yellow red. So I looked at this actually for quite a while because this might be one of the harder openings I've ever seen. There's really no obvious spot to build. The one thing I noted is that we have a really nice yellow blue setup right here, um, that I think that we want to keep open as much as possible. We don't want to block it. But other than that, there's no real like specifically good yellow red spot to put it in. What's your thought on where you would place this?
Um, yeah, this is a tough one. Looking at it right now, I want to kind of break up that yellow blue, and just put it straight down, and then set up for um a potential L clear with the reds, which doesn't sound that practical, but
Sorry, which kind of clear with
oh,
with reds?
yeah, so straight down. Um,
Yeah, in 4-5. Which I assume you're. I'll just draw it for everybody.
yep,
That's what you're referring to, yeah.
and I guess I would just hope for another red yellow and clear that double yellow.
And then have it
Um,
drop so that it ends up like you have a red here and a red here kind of thing,
yeah,
and then try to
yeah,
get a T.
yeah, that's kind of all I see. Um,
Yeah, that
or,
makes sense. I think that's probably looking at it right now the best way to do it. You could also I some of the other ideas I came up with were like doing this, and then you can clear these reds, and eventually someday you get to clear this horizontally and make a combo out of it, and then it keeps everything
mhm,
else open. And I also kind of maybe thought about just overhanging into this yellow to try to set up a combo this way, but now we block off any good position for a red blue pill after this. Um,
mhm.
Honestly, it might even depend on what pill we see in the next box as soon as the red yellow comes out. But yeah, I think this honestly is like considering everything, this is probably the safest thing to do. There's just no good options. The only exception maybe is if you see a yellow blue come up, maybe you don't want to do this. But yeah, it's really tough. This is just a really tough one, I think.
Yeah,
But let's see what you actually do. And actually, honestly, I kind of want to see what Coop does as well. Oh yeah, you put it over here. This is my idea. Nice. That is a spicy one from Coop. I feel like that must be a misdrop, but I've seen crazier things that weren't misdrops that worked out. So, but definitely not an idea I had. But yeah, that's where you ended up putting it. And I guess maybe that was you were thinking kind of the same thing of just like, well, this is the closest I can get to putting the yellow over some yellows and the red over a red. So we'll just do that. And then we get a
yeah, and
blue.
then just deal with it later. Yeah,
Yeah, just anything to keep these yellow blues alive. Because if you do get a run of two to double yellow, two yellow blues, excuse me, like that is going to be the fastest combo, no doubt. And if you don't take it and he does, then he's going to get first combo on you, and then you kind of lose the that opening momentum over him. So
mm,
yeah, I think it's super risky to put any of these non-yellow blue pills in 5 and 6, just because you can't really give up that. I mean, it's at the end of the day, it comes down to chance. But if you do block it off and then you can't make the combo and the other person does, they get a huge opening in the center, and then you lose the opening momentum on top of that. It's pretty bad. So I don't hate this move either, honestly. The more I look at it, the more I kind of like it. But given that you're not getting a yellow blue next, it might not matter. Who knows? I guess we'll see. I did note quite a few things here in this one.
okay.
Um, And then I think yeah, you get a blue yellow here, and you put it over here, and you don't put you set up the horizontal for the red. But like as we just talked about, like we need to be doing this. This is too
Yeah, see,
good.
I don't think I ever really no. So that was the first thing you mentioned was keeping that yellow blue together, which makes perfect sense. But I think I just don't. I don't know. I guess I didn't see that or prior. I don't tend to prioritize those.
I
Um,
mean I think my best guess is that you just kind of tunnel visioned on this idea from the first pill that you put down, and you were just kind of following up with the first move that you did. And I mean
yeah.
I think everybody does that, to be honest, where they just kind of tunnel vision on doing the plan for a particular setup on one side of the board, and they kind of even just for a brief moment they forget about the other side of the board where maybe something else has to be addressed. It's so hard to keep both sides of the board in your mind sometimes, so I totally get that. But I feel like this, like, to me, as soon as I saw this opening, I was like, this yellow blue situation is like a real key point to focus on, because like I said, if you ever get two yellow blues in a row, and this game loves to give you repeat pills for some reason, then
Mhm.
that's going to be first combo, and you're going to want to be the first player to take that down. Because if you do, and then you block that setup for the other person, that's just a huge advantage at the start of the game. But we'll continue from here. And then I mentioned the red blue combo that you did. I don't really know why I don't know why I even commented on this, to be honest. I just said that the pills that you get end up leading to this red blue combo, which is fine because we need to clear space to get to this red one, horizontal in column one now that you've committed to it. And I don't know, I didn't write down like what I if I thought you should have done something else. Maybe I thought you should have done this instead,
Mhm.
maybe, and clear this up. But I don't know. I think this is also just like I think this is probably the best move. I don't think see any problem with that. Like I said, you need to clear this red horizontal now that you've kind of committed to it because column one is sort of totally riding on this now. Uh, I'd love to know how Coop got into this position. I just happened to see he's about to double red and just go like a
It's such a
super hammer of
beautiful.
justice over here. This
Yeah.
perfectly open red situation. But yeah, wow. But yeah, no, I think this is fine, and you're probably about to knock this down, get another double, and then the red horizontal situation will be open for business to hopefully clear out as soon as possible. Uh, wow, that's so unfortunate. I think I wrote, yeah, I did say that. Very unfortunate garbage. You end up getting the combo anyways. Now that this has happened, I think like we were talking about like those pieces of garbage on these spires, like the blue from last game. That's what this red is now. I feel like this is like any red you get has to go onto this and try to get rid of it as soon as possible. It's slow enough you could get a horizontal somewhere along the line, but because it's so high up and you're no like real platforms going on, I think that we need to sort this out before it gets worse because you could lose access to the whole right side of your board if it doesn't get sorted out there. And I think you end up doing that. Yeah, you end up making a triple out
Good.
of it. So that's absolutely perfect. Uh, Definitely contrast from last game. Now you can see how much more open the board is. It's amazing. We're loving our lives. It's great. So now after that, um, yeah, I think you then go for this red horizontal after that immediately, pretty much. Uh, yeah, and you. Oh yeah, this combo is so good. Like that, I didn't even see this setup. I didn't know what you were doing. Like when I first saw this, and then as soon as I saw this pill, I was like, "Oh my god, yeah, we're gonna do a triple, and we're gonna take down column one, open everything up. You have some red blue opportunities here. So good."
Yeah, that's something I actually have actively been working on seeing the weird those weird drop horizontals.
Yeah, and
It took me
honestly, sorry, go ahead.
no, no, it just, I saw someone do that. I think it might have been like iBar or something, and I was like, "Oh, man, that was so cool. I have to figure that out."
Are you referring to like the double like horizontal dropping into another horizontal?
Yeah, yes, that was something that I struggled to see for a while and just actively tried to work on that.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Um,
I mean, this is not really a common shape that you see a lot of people setting up. But it does sometimes kind of organically happen. And you know, it's you got to every combo shape that you're comfortable with clearing out is just another tool in your toolbox. What I thought you meant was working on this sort of setup where you clear the horizontal into a vertical like that.
uh,
But I think that's at your level. I'm assuming you're seeing this pretty frequently. We've seen it in the previous
yeah,
games there. Yeah.
and that might even just been an like a incidental. I don't know if I was doing that part on purpose
Well, I think you
or
were
just
at the
focused.
very least thinking we need to get to it so that we can eventually clear this
Yeah,
down. Yeah. And for everybody watching, like that this is the sort of shape that I think gets slept on, especially like beginner intermediate players. Like this type of combo, it's probably the simplest like sandwich setup you can think of, but it's so important. Even if we go back, well, we won't get a good clear view to show you what I mean in this game. But if you imagine these red halves weren't there, even if it's just the red virus and you need to put three pills to put this down, this is just so good because it makes a combo, which is sort of the baseline we want. But also, just being able to take down columns by doing this is so important. So I think a lot of people until it's set up for them or it just sort of organically happens, they don't really think to do it. But even if you have to place these three red pills yourself manually, like one of the most important things to learn. If you start doing this consistently in games, your level of play will improve so much. Just with this kind of simple shape here, you don't have to do the fancy drop horizontal. Okay, that's very cool. But even if you just look for these simple setups and find horizontals this way, you're going to start doing horizontals. If it's not something you're comfortable with, this is where you start. It's so important, and it will take you so far if you learn how to do it. I just want to make sure that that is clear to anybody who wants to know how to get horizontals into their game. Like, this is where you start for sure, 100%. Anyway, we will continue on from here. I think I have a note very soon. Yeah, it was about this double blue pill. You clear it like that. So I think my idea. What was my idea? Oh, what was I? I said that this should have gone in one, and I actually don't know why I would have said that. That is silly. To make the combo
Um,
ASAP at 9:05. Am I for real? Oh, I'm talking about this double blue. Sorry, my mistake. No, this double blue is perfect. This is exactly what you should have done for sure, because it just cleans everything up, and now everything's really nice and neat to be knocked down. It's this double blue which you put over here,
oh,
and you shook your head right away. I'm now seeing,
yeah,
probably because
yeah, I
you
see.
saw this and you were like, "Oh yeah, that's what should be happening here." Almost certainly.
Yeah, I think because I thought it was gonna, drop down further than I thought it was going to be a combo, and so I wasn't prepared to have those blues on the left.
Hmm. Oh, you thought the first drop was going to be a combo.
Yeah, I didn't see that, like,
Yeah.
red piece holding it up, yeah.
Yeah, that's really disorienting. And when that happens, I think everybody's had that, and it kind of like you kind of like mentally break for a second whenever that
Yeah,
happens. You just kind of
yeah,
like you're when something happens you didn't expect to happen, your brain kind of breaks for a second, and you kind of forget was happening. And yeah, that's totally normal. But yeah, that was a big thing that I saw. I was like, oh yeah, we had to take that, because especially because in this particular case, like this is only possible with a double blue. Like, you can stack yellow blues on top of it, but it takes two pills, and you don't get this virus down here. Whereas this blue pill didn't accomplish anything really, and you could have had a combo right now, and that would have cleaned things
mhm.
up on the right side quite a bit. So I think that was a pretty key thing to miss, unfortunately. But you get two yellow blues, and this is sort of the next best thing after this mistake's been made. At least we got the yellow blues and we cleared things out, and things are looking pretty good. Yeah, you were not happy about this garbage at all. I saw. Uh,
No,
yeah, definitely not. And then I made a note of something. Oh, I made a note of something a little while ago. Hold on. Oh
that
yeah,
yellow blue weird too.
sorry.
The
Yeah, we'll get back to that in a second. I actually just wanted. I'm not. I went back from that point. But this the blue going on top. I just noted that instead of putting on top, it could have been tucked under here, just so that things aren't quite as spired up, and
yeah,
things are a little more neat here. And then like yellow red, yellow blue leads to that, and then you get a triple. It's kind of nice. But it's not that bad. But it just, especially because it doesn't make a nice clean combo, it's just sort of awkward. And then we get garbage, which makes it kind of even more awkward. And then yeah, because then this happens, and yeah, and then you correctly prioritize. Yeah, you prioritize this blue garbage, you get a triple combo, and it's great, and we love that. But I think that even though we kind of recovered it a little bit, like actually this double blue tuck that I mentioned would have just sort of changed things, because that's yellow blue wouldn't have had to overhang here. You could have just kind of cleared these blues away, or just found some other way to position them, and now that made this garbage just so damaging. Even though you do clear it out, because by the time we get back to here where you get your triple, like this isn't great. We need to get rid of this yellow for sure, and like the rest of the board's kind of in shambles. I don't see a lot of combo opportunities that are ready to fire right away. It's not great. And I think that might have made quite a difference if you had maybe just done the undertuck just to keep things neater, and made garbage, any kind of garbage that might have fallen there, a little less damaging.
yeah,
I think that's all I had to say about any of that. Yeah, and then we just kind of do some cleanup. We do that. We prioritize this lightning rod setup. That's great. Coop's got a crazy messed up board again. I don't know how he recovers from this. Man, This is a thing with Coop. We're not going to talk about him too much. This isn't his stream, but like, yeah, I don't know how he gets himself in these situations, and then he comes out of it and wins. It's kind of crazy to me, but
It's very impressive.
things are looking a little cleaner now, at least. We get the yellow there. I think I'm going to note it very soon, but I guess I might as well just note it now. Like, things are pretty clean here. The biggest priority that I'm looking at to progress this board, other than the obvious combo setups, is I really want to clear. I want to get a yellow right here, and I want to get this horizontal just to drop column 8 and really flatten things out completely. Also,
Mhm.
speaking of flattening it completely, 10 seconds later, Coop's got a clear board. I don't even want to talk about it. Crazy. Anyway, the point I'm making is this horizontal yellow is definitely the most important thing here. It'll drop the reds down. We get a combo out of it. It's kind of going to be hard to do on this board, but any move we can get to progress towards doing that, I think, is huge. And I'm assuming I wrote that down because we don't do that, but we'll see. I could be wrong.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, you get an L though. That's pretty sweet. And now you have the platform here to do it. And yeah, I think here is what I noted. This garbage came in. Now we have the platform to just put this blue yellow just like this. We get to take that important horizontal, but we block it off. We just don't put it there. I don't know if you. I'm trying to see. Did you shake your head when you did that?
No, I think
No, I think you were just focusing. I think you were focusing on doing this a little too much,
yeah,
which is also important, but uh, maybe even more important realistically. But the fact that this horizontal was right there and it was a combo we could have had right at that moment, I think was too good to pass up. And it's not like we weren't going to be able to get this blue horizontal later anyway.
yeah, I think I definitely lost sight of that, horizontal yellow because it is kind of in a weird, um it's not like a no, it doesn't look like a super obvious.
Yeah, it doesn't stand out the way that like this red blue situation does, where it's like a big spire with
Yeah.
a clear center that you can clear out to make a combo. So it naturally draws your attention for sure. But yeah, that was, I think, it seems like an innocuous move because it just seems like one move in a sequence to get this red blue, but I think it ends up actually being a big issue. Where we should have definitely made this clear, and then we could have just put down another pill to like we could have put this yellow blue down, and then we could have had the horizontal either way. We could have had it both ways, but yeah, it just when I saw this, it just kind of killed me a little bit. I was like, oh, that would have been so good.
Yeah, no, I see that now, yeah.
And it does unfortunately get worse. We could have had it again, and it would have been the most beautiful red yellow L. I would have loved it. And I think you were just thinking, oh, I can take this red out with this horizontal, and you put it straight down, which is not terrible, but it's just like, oh, we could have had that triple. That would have been so nice. And then we don't get the yellow for several pills, getting super punished. Thankfully, the garbage doesn't block it. If this garbage ever falls here, then we're crying. But finally, we do
It
get
was
it. But I just wonder about like the timeline where you took that right away, or even the second time, and just kept the pressure up further on him. It seems like not a big like. I don't think people. I'm not saying you don't, but I don't think that people really appreciate how the difference of a couple of seconds between taking a combo now versus later makes a difference. But that could be giving Coop like 4 or 5 extra moves on his board to do what he wants to do, and just denying him that time and potentially blocking it before he can do something on his board that's very important is just massive. It's just such a huge deal, especially at like your level and Coop's level. Like that's just like the game comes down to seconds like that. So just missing stuff like that is very painful. It did hurt me a little to watch that.
yeah,
Uh,
I still I saw it right when it was about to happen, but, just now, but yeah, I that's something um yeah, I wonder if I've improved since then. I would have noticed that, but I don't think I would have.
I feel like you have. I feel like you like I said at the start, like I feel like you've probably improved because this match was quite like months ago, I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
Um,
So I
yeah,
feel
March.
it was March.
Um, yeah, I believe it was March.
It was, I mean, it was something like March, April-ish, and we're into like the end of June now. So I feel like you probably, maybe not as a direct result of this game, but you definitely, you sort of have naturally improved at this sort of thing since then from the games that we played. But uh, yeah, in the moment it was like, yeah, this is these, if these little things could have changed the tide so drastically, especially when Coop is playing with boards like this. Like it's crazy how you can take them all down, but the way to beat this is just to get that garbage in the exact right spot, just even one time, and force him to completely change his entire plan. And now he's stuck with this horrendous board forever. That's what we'd like to have happen. And sometimes you just need to find a combo maybe 2 seconds earlier, and we get to have that. And it's the difference between topping him out and playing out a long game. But yeah,
Mhm.
uh, it's okay. Eventually, we got there. That's the important thing. And to be fair, I see the same thing in my own games all the time. So it's not like, not, no worries. I feel like you've overcome it since then, and it's even still, it's just natural for that sort of thing to happen. Hindsight is always 2020. We're doing good things, and we have a lot of horizontals on the right we can do, but we'll take this. This blue garbage falls down, and we took an empty clear on the left. And it was just another one of those situations. I'm so sure that you were just so focused on waiting on a blue yellow to get this sweet, almost
Yeah,
fat log here. But we
because
could
I
have,
knew that would drop it down a little bit.
yeah, I feel like we could have just taken the L instead, and that would have been
Yep.
probably better. And just, again, taking a combo right away. This yellow horizontal isn't going anywhere. We can still build back up to it. It only takes one pill to make the platform. But yeah, this empty clear is okay, but I mean, I don't hate it. It opens up the yellow red on the left side, but I mean, I feel like, and it's not like we have any opportunity to extend this or anything. It's not even one of those situations, so I think it's better just to take it straight up. Okay, I have to go back because at 11:10, all I wrote was unfortunate misdrop, and I didn't see what it was. It
Yeah,
was
that,
this. Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, you wanted to
I
get, you wanted to do the log I was talking about, but unfortunately just flipped it the wrong way, I guess.
Yeah, there was one move in, one of these games at this event where I made a misdrop, but I didn't even realize it, and I heard Bidwell, like, point it out, and then um yeah, it took me a while to figure out what he was talking about, but I don't think it was this one.
It's a different game, yeah. I've listened to commentators at live events is so difficult. I can't do it. Like when I used to participate in the speed tournaments, I'd always turn the stream off while I was playing because I didn't want to hear what the commentators were saying. It's just distracting, and it was just not something I needed to focus on while I was trying to play. And it's the same at live events. Like in Columbus, it's like you're pretty far away from the commentators, generally speaking. But at the regionals, you're just kind of set up in wherever you're set up, and usually the stream setup is like right next to the desk the commentators are sitting at and where the stream's being run from, and so you hear everything. It's just like sometimes like you just hear something out of the corner of your ear and you just can't help but like pay attention, and then you're not focused. It's a whole thing. It's awful. But yeah, and obviously I all I wrote here was unfortunate misdrop because there's not much you can say. Like obviously this is pretty damaging to do this, but obviously
Mhm.
judging by the look on your face in this video, you know that very well. And you
It
didn't
looked
mean,
yeah,
sorry, yeah.
yeah, yeah, I assumed that that was, my disappointed face.
Yeah, it is. If we unpause, I'm sure you shake your head, but uh yeah, like it happens. I mean, honestly, like literally when we were playing the other day, I misdropped so many times. It was the worst. It just happens. Nobody's perfect. Everybody makes
Yep.
mistakes like this. There's nothing to say about it. Like we all know it was a misdrop. You know what you meant to do, and it was probably way better. Like it would have been way better. It is what it is. We'll analyze from here, but yeah, don't worry too much about that. But obviously, this is going to be a problem now going forward. Uh, and you'll make the most of it. You'll do this, and you'll start setting up here. There was one other thing that came up. Yes, so this was a tee that you made. Obviously, after the misdrop, you set up this yellow horizontal because you were trying to correct the mistake and clear down your column and make a combo. And then you also had this red idea going on, and then you put this red pill here in a T as a T, which that's great. Knocking down our setups, we're making combos, no problem. But in this case, I think this is a rare moment where making the combo and taking your combo was actually a pretty devastating mistake, because as soon as this combo
Hmm.
clears out, the yellow setup is completely broken and it really messes things up. And this center
Yeah.
column is so dangerous, and you're going to have to work twice as hard to clear it out now, because we don't even have a platform for the last piece of this horizontal anymore now that we've taken that. And obviously, you see the T setup, you see that double red, and you're like, "Ah, oh, perfect. Luck is on my side. Let's do it." And you don't even think twice about it, because it's just like instinct to just take a combo when you get it. Uh, this is a really tricky situation. I think a lot of people would have done this exact same thing, but this probably kills the game. I think when this happens, because I think from here you never actually make this horizontal before the end of the game, because this happened, and you had a yellow blue coming up to after this blue red, and you're gonna try now, but you get one more piece of garbage here. You have the yellow in the next box, and then you just don't get it over in time, and you top out because we didn't take that horizontal instead. And it's just, yeah, really rough. I mean, again, I think a lot of people would have made the same mistake. It was a really tricky situation to be in. But I had to point out that, like, that is definitely the moment where the game is lost for sure, which is crazy
Right.
because it's a combo. It should be a good move, and it's not. But I think in that case, it's a very rare time where I'm gonna actually be like very against taking the combo in that spot, and to the point where I think it cost you the whole game. Well, I mean, you're not saying you definitely would have won, but like I said, but that's definitely the nail in the coffin for this game, is taking that T.
Yeah, I see that. It's possible that I saw it last minute and I just was like, there's no going back now.
Yeah, like
Um,
as it's falling into the slot to complete the T, you realize what's gonna happen after you clear it, and you're like, oh god, but you don't have time to like move it out of the way or anything. Yeah.
yeah, I think there was one spot it could have gone, but it was also in the middle of the board, so
Well, there actually is a great spot it could have gone, and that spot
yeah, the right
is
in the middle.
right here.
I might have been nervous about that with just blocking more of the middle, top middle of the board, but yeah, that could have helped out quite a bit.
That's fair, but I guess my counter argument to that is that column 5 is already so much worse anyway. This creates an additional setup that will clear out, and we are all in on
Yeah, you
clearing
just
this yellow horizontal regardless. So you just put it there instead of taking this T, and that. To be fair, that's really hard to see, I think. But as soon as this yellow setup broke, I was like, oh yeah, no, this is. If you don't get a
yeah,
double yellow, like, this game is gonna end right now.
and I think that's a really, yeah, important thing to notice because I have noticed that lately with, sometimes I'll intentionally not do a combo because I see that it's gonna mess up horizontal like that.
Hmm.
Uh, and yeah, I missed it here.
Yeah, exactly. But again, like I said, I think it is actually really difficult to see this, but I think this was the key point where this is the move. And even then, you get a red blue before the yellow comes, and you have a great spot to put that even again right here, or not that piece, but like this. And then the blue will fall
Mhm.
onto this blue after the yellow clears, the reds clear out. And yeah, your whole center will be open. Column 6 will still be awful, but we'll get to that obviously. But in this spot, I think once this T goes down, there's almost no hope of recovering this unless you get like the perfect pills to get this yellow in time. And unfortunately, we just did not get there, and we get more garbage. And yeah, maybe against a weaker player, you would have had time, but yeah. And obviously, if you got this last pill over, you would have got there, but we could have avoided all of that.
Right.
Alrighty. Yeah. So like I said, there were a lot of combo setups that were, could have, if we had just taken our combo when we should have, then it would have taken us down a better path. Obviously, in the end, of course, ironically, taking the combo setup is exactly the thing that cost us the game, but that's just how it goes, I guess, sometimes. But yeah, just small decisions that just could have been a little different, that would have made a big impact on the game. That's all it came down to, really, I think.
Yeah.
So now we're into the last crown here, game 4. Um, I think this one is pretty self-explanatory, but I'll let you tell us what you think the best move is here on the first bill.
Yeah. straight down for a hoping for a short stack.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we just want to put it right there. Oops. Yeah, we just want to put it right there, and so that we have a red blue setup going. We already have the blue yellows going on here, and yeah, if we get either one of those, that's probably what the first combo is going to end up being, and then we can go from there. Just as a note, if we ever get any red yellows where it seems like there's not a great place to put them, I think we maybe putting them here would be a cool idea just to clear it horizontally at some point. But it depends how the pills come, obviously. And I'm sure you'll definitely make that move. You both do. And you do actually break the setup, but you end up not getting a red blue anyway, so it doesn't really matter. And then, yeah, I noted that you cleared off this fourth column garbage right away, even though it didn't make a combo, and I totally agree with that. That was uh, definitely, it felt like you were already learning your lesson from the previous games when I saw
Yeah,
that. So I was like, that's lovely. We love to see that. Because, and especially because, and I wrote this down, but we haven't seen it yet. As soon as you do that, yellow column garbage 4. And if you had not cleared that out, that would have been horrible. Because I don't think you even would have had vertical like clearance to clear that out if it had come a little too late. Well, you cleared it with a double blue, but blue on top of yellow in column 4 would have already been just brutal. So you luckily save yourself from that, and then you prioritize this as well and make a nice triple out of it. And I'm like, oh, we're already learning the lessons of the previous games. We'd love to see it.
yeah, definitely with the one crown away from losing.
Well, yeah,
I
exactly.
was,
We need to be playing absolutely as best as possible because you don't have
yeah.
another crown to give up for sure. And I mentioned something at 12, 13. Uh, there was a combo that you took. I need to reread what I even wrote here.
I was thinking, this kind of messes. I
This,
thought
yes, yeah.
it
Sorry,
was
go ahead.
going to mess up.
Go ahead. I think you're gonna say what I was gonna say. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, it's a little reminiscent of the last one where watching it now, I definitely would be prioritizing that yellow D sandwich. I see that blue horizontal, and I think it works. It looks like it works out, but I could have messed up that.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I said. Because this looks great. Like you even get a triple, you even clear the yellows up here. But the way it leaves you, it strands this yellow here, and it has no like you have to build up a platform to get back to it. If like if garbage ever falls in this spot here, this is like you can still clear the horizontal, but like that's awful. And if we go back, like I think you already almost had the yellow ready to go. Like you had a T set up. So I think what I would have preferred, like you were very close to it. So I think the better move I would have done would have been to put it like this. And yeah, you need two more yellows to make the T, but we need to clear this out badly enough that I think that is just better. But this is probably even harder to see than the last one, to be honest, because you just see like the yellow blue drop combo and you just want to go for it. But yeah, just something I pointed out where I think holding off to take the T would have just been a lot better.
Yeah, I agree. Seeing it now, that's what I thought I would have been going for, but I think I just tried to take the combo as soon as possible.
Yeah, and I mentioned something else here at 1221. This double red. Yeah, this double red, you put it down here in column 3. I think
Could have been 7.
yep, that's exactly right. Yeah, for everyone watching, put it in 7 here. We have a blue red double setup ready to fire. Also, even a red yellow going this way if we wanted to clear out and just take a combo as soon as possible. Yeah, just so many opportunities if we put the double red there, as opposed to blocking off the yellow horizontal. That we just make it more difficult for ourselves to clear that way. And you do
Mhm.
eventually get there. This red garbage falls, and then you clear on top of it, and column 2 comes down. But I mean, the board is just in such a worse state than it could have been. Like this whole side maybe would have been potentially cleared away. Although there's some garbage that fell. I wasn't paying attention if there was a red blue that we got at some point in that whole sequence. But um, yeah, I think it just leaves things in a worse state than if we had done things a little bit differently. And yeah, obviously minimizing this is super important. Now we're very sad that we don't have any reds to do anything about. It's not a bad tuck, and I I think I made mention of this. I'm assuming that the reason that you played the yellow blue this way is because you were just kind of a little too nervous to flip it up to get a combo at the top of the
That's
screen.
exactly right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I figured. It's not the end of the world because when this drops down, now we have like a blue T set up. This double yellow can now go here, and you have, it's not. It's actually kind of nice. But yeah, that's what I figured. I just wanted to make sure if you had actually seen that or not, and I'm assuming it's just because this was you were at at elimination point, and you just didn't want to screw something up and throw the game, and that's perfectly fine, honestly, because it doesn't even really make a big difference. But I just wanted to confirm if that's what happened there.
Yep. Yeah. I even watching it now, I was like, oh, I hope I don't try to do that because I've topped out a few times just attempting stuff like that. So didn't want to take the risk.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Okay. So we're still just trying to clear things out. Take a nice combo over there. Definitely like that. Okay, yeah. This is the thing. You were going for this red horizontal to clean this up, and then you place this blue yellow in like this and effectively blocked it off. I'm assuming it's because you just kind of tunnel vision on this blue horizontal that you're seeing here. But I think this is another one of those cases where we really need to make this clear just to get column 6 down. And now we're very close to the top of the screen, and this blue horizontal is just not going to clean things up pretty much at all, or anything like that. Is that about right? Is that what you were going for?
Yeah, it could also just been that I thought that was gonna clear the yellows. Um
Oh, you just
I don't know.
miscounted? You mean?
Like it could be that yeah, it's hard to tell what I was thinking in that moment.
Yeah, for
Um
sure. But I
but
saw. Sorry, go ahead.
I do seem to have conflicting combo or yeah, sometimes I do have the
Just
conflicting horizontals which one to take and then it messes up both of them.
Yeah, as we call it, too many plans. Too many
Yes.
plans. Yeah, but yeah, I think that was actually a huge issue here, and then you end up taking this, but now we're just kind of at the top. I think we will eventually
Yeah,
get
with
there.
no setups
I
either.
hope. Yep, we eventually get that, but now like things are pretty dire here, and you're kind of vaguely shaking your head with every almost
Yeah,
every
I feel
move.
like I did that.
And that's a nice drop cross. You're doing some nice cleanup and comboing at the top of the screen, that's for sure. Doing the best you can in the situation you're in, definitely. And yeah, I
No,
think by that point, like you're still shaking. Oh, but you're still finding like crosses and stuff, and making horizontals. Even though this board is really difficult for that, you get a nice little charity combo. Follow it up again, but the board looks like very jagged at this point. Like we have like a lot of spires going on here. It's very difficult to do anything with this at this point. And yeah, you're shaking your head. I think at this point, the game's basically over, and you're just kind of playing it out. You have like these some wild moves over here, and honestly, as soon as you started putting stuff in column 1, I looked back. I was like, did we have something? And I was like, I don't think there's any good moves here. Like,
no.
like maybe you can stack them like this here, but yeah, I think by the time we lost that red horizontal, the damage is kind of already done, and maybe there were some pills you could have gotten to put you back in the game, but he's just combo pressuring you now, and yeah, I don't think there was really any good options, and yeah, you kind of know it's over and just top out,
Yeah.
and that seals the deal. And Coop moves on to the finals. But yeah, there was obviously like in this game in particular, very specific points I think where things turned that could have been changed, and I think like that's pretty common, especially well, I mean at any point in the game really, but especially in the early game. When you're starting at the top, where there's just key decisions you have to make, and just board health considerations you have to make that keep you out of trouble basically. And when you uh, when you don't do that, obviously it can be enough. Even just one mistake can be enough to lead to a top out, and like a really messy board. So like
Mhm.
I said, I think you've basically like this is not like a consistent problem for you. I think this is probably like an isolated issue in this particular set, and you mentioned that nerves are an issue for you, and I'm sure that was a big part of it too. Because I mean, you can definitely play better than this. I don't think that this is like your best performance, and I really hope that when you go to Cincinnati that you do get pretty far in the in as far as results. I hope you do get, because you're definitely like top 8 level player. You could definitely make top 8. I think in the last tournament we were all in a voice call, and we people were asking me, everyone was asking each other like, "Oh, who do you think's gonna make top 8 this year? Who's assume like let's just assume that every player you can think of is gonna be there. Don't worry about who's actually gonna be there, but like who do you think would make top 8?" And I think we came up with like 16 different names of people who might make the top 8 depending on how the bracket shakes out, or and who actually goes or anything like that. But I would say you're definitely in like that pool of 16 players that could make it there. So yeah, like
Oh, thank you.
for sure, yeah. But I mean, obviously, it's always good to look at games like this, even if it is just a one-off or a nerves thing, just to analyze these situations so that you can recognize them in games and just get into that mindset. And it doesn't happen right away. Like I'm sure you're not gonna immediately go play and immediately see every board health situation that you need to, but it's just helpful to put you in that mindset to just help you find it more instinctually when it matters and when it comes up, and just to be, especially
Yeah,
at the beginning of games.
I think it's yeah, this was important, an important reminder for like yeah, one or two moves can really like missing one thing can really just topple into a problem that ends the game. Um,
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, like I said, I mean, you're at that level of play now where, and like the type of opponents that are at your level when you play them, such as Coop in this match, and a lot of the people that you're playing in the ending rounds of monthly checkups, they're at the point where mistakes that seem small add up and then cause these big problems. And if you're playing against people in the early rounds and doing that sort of thing and making that sort of mistake, if they're maybe they're not as good at combo pressuring you and you feel like you can get away with it, and the important lesson is not to assume that just because you can get away with it against some people, that it's not something you should be considering against everyone, especially those higher level players. I made a note here that in this entire analysis, we never discussed endgame a single time, and that's just because none of these games ever got there because there was just board health issues that prevented us from even getting to. I don't think you got to the bottom of the board in this entire set, to be honest, which is fine. But that doesn't mean, I'm not saying you don't know how to do endgame, but like we didn't even get to discuss it because this is like, I think the big thing for you to focus on in the future. And like I said, I think you may have already started to do that, but I think yeah, consistently, I feel like you probably uh, play. I feel like you play pretty loose at the top of the screen. That's kind of your style a little bit, but I feel like you do like your next step is to like reel that back a little bit and try to play with a little more safety at the start, especially finding those like high priority clears that you need to make more space. And then once you have that space, then you can do your thing and you can play your nasty combo game that you have, and you have the
yeah,
space and the freedom to do that even better. So even if I think maybe you just rush into that a little too quickly sometimes, and you don't invest in your future as much. So if you ever feel that way, just think of the nasty combo game you'll get to play that'll be even better once you clean things up a little bit. And then
yeah,
you can really go wild once you have all the freedom and the space in the world to do your thing, for sure. But
I agree. I
yeah.
think that's an important thing to. I started to kind of actively think that, and you can see in that last game, I was taking it a little bit easier at the top. I think
Mhm.
just because of Hope's aggressive early game.
Exactly. Yeah, you started to learn from those mistakes in game 4. I think we really saw that just on the fly, live in the set. You were adapting to those mistakes that you noticed yourself making. But obviously, we want to try to start doing that in game 1 so that we don't get to that point where we have to bring it back, and we can, just incorporate that and make that part of your regular game. And if you can address that sort of thing, honestly, I think that you can hit like the level of like Snipe and No Izzle and all those players that I think of as like the absolute best players right now. I think you can get there, and I think that finding those little key things and reducing those kinds of crucial mistakes are going to be the thing that really gets you to that point. So uh, definitely what I would focus on, if especially if you're planning to go to Cincinnati. I think um, if you can really work on that, then I think you'd be a shoe in for top 8 if you could do that.
Yeah, hopefully. Hopefully this September I'll get some of my nerves under control and be prepared for Cincinnati.
Yeah, is that something you'd be comfortable talking about a little so before we finish up? As far as like,
Uh,
the nerves thing?
sure. I don't know much much what to talk about it, but um
Well, I guess I just felt I wanted to talk about it because I feel like this is not a unique thing to you. I know I don't want to name any names, but I know there's other people that I've talked to in the community who kind of have that same feeling about playing on stage, and some people have more problems than others. But even like Snipe, the first year in 2023, after that tournament, he told me in the airport while we were waiting for our flights home, he told me, he's like, yeah, playing on stage was so much more nerve wracking than I thought it was going to be, and like I wasn't ready. I'd never done that before, and I think that first time especially is really helpful. But some people still have nerves, you know, going going on from that first experience, and it always gets better, but maybe not as much. You know, everybody's different. And I feel like nerves are kind of a complicated subject, maybe even like a kind of a personal subject. I think they're different for everybody. I used to have like huge problems with nerves in other games when I used to compete. But by now, I like by the time I started playing Dr. Mario, I had plenty of experience with playing in front of a room full of people, and who were being loud and watching and you know, feeling nervous. And I used to be really bad for nerves, and I would choke, and it was the worst. And I had spent a lot of time on that, so it's a topic that I'm pretty passionate about. But I feel like it's definitely something that a lot of people can relate to as far as having nerves. But is there something specific that like makes you nervous? Is that something you want to talk about? We don't have to talk about it, but I just thought it'd be interesting to too if you were open to that.
um yeah, no, I don't mind talking about it. Yeah, I think it's just something that I with more practice doing live play, I'll just know more what to expect, and then it's really a mindset thing of, like, this doesn't actually matter. It's just a
Yeah.
fun working on the mind, yeah, making myself not think about it at all.
I mean, I think it's different for everyone. Some people just like feel like they don't want to lose in front of a crowd. They think it'll be embarrassing. Some people think that, you know, they just get really obsessed with like, oh, the stakes are high. Like this game really matters, and like I can't lose, and like I don't want to lose in a tournament. I'll be so disappointed. And they put like a whole all the stock into winning, and it gets in their head and it makes them play worse. So I think it is really different for everybody. And honestly, there's no like one answer of like this is the way you get over nerves. But it's different for everyone. You kind of have to confront, you know, what the root cause for you, and it's going to be different for everybody, and then go from there. But it sounds like for you, it was mostly a issue of like, oh, this is a tournament, this is a big deal, and like you can't lose, like I can't lose, and like I have to play well, and then you sort of put that expectation on yourself, and that's really maybe where it comes from for you.
Yeah, I think that's definitely it, and not wanting to make, like, awful mistakes, which, this one I think actually I felt less pressure because I had a good excuse, and that if I did anything really bad, I was like, "Well, I've been living in Antarctica, so it's not I haven't been practice." So that actually I think helped, like, just get rid of a lot of the pressure that I was putting on myself. But yeah, it's the community as a whole. Like it's supposed to be fun, and it is fun. So it really is just all in my head.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I mean, that's kind of was the same for me. I put so much stock into winning, and honestly, I feel like especially last year and when I went to all those regionals, I think I could have been way more nervous about it, but to me those trips were just nice trips. I went to hang out with my friends, and I thought of the tournament as sort of like the secondary point of the trip, and that helped me a lot. You know, it would have been so easy to just think of it like, oh, I flew all the way here just to go to this tournament, and if I lose, it was a total waste of my time and money, and it'll be the worst. And that's like the worst mindset you could possibly have, because you're definitely gonna play worse. You're gonna get in your own head. You're gonna make the stakes way higher than they actually are in your own mind. Let's and just being able to think of it as like, well, you know, I'll play. Whatever happens, happens, And if I lose, then, at least I came to this place and I traveled and I went on a trip and I spent time with my friends and did all this stuff and it was great. And yeah, and also as far as playing in front of a crowd, it is helpful that this community is so awesome, and that they're, maybe they're cheering for the other person because we're all friends and nobody wants anyone to lose. But it's it's okay because nobody's gonna, everyone's gonna have your back at the end of the day, even if you lose. So it's
Exactly.
yeah, so it's nice. Absolutely. I think that's pretty much everything that I had there. Did you have anything else you wanted to talk about or anything like that? About the match or anything?
Oh man, not particularly. I was feeling pretty good lately with the last few monthlies, and then um the very last monthly was the competition was intense. So um yeah, I just wanted to give a shout out to all like the competition out there is really keeping me in shape. Yeah, it's great. It's I love seeing people do better than me. Um yeah, thanks for running the monthlies. That also helps with my nerves. But yeah, I
Just
look forward to them every month.
nice. Well, yeah, I'm glad. I mean, I'm glad you that it gives people experience. That's kind of the point of it, is so people can get experience for the live events. Just get used to tournaments, and so we can all also to give people an excuse to get better and so we can all level each other up and everything like that. So yeah, absolutely. Other than that, I mean, I just want to thank you for coming on. Thanks so much, Parula. I think when you told me about how much you enjoy my match analysis in Hartford, I think that really is what got me inspired to continue doing it. At that time, I was just like not feeling it. I felt like nobody cared, no one was watching, no one like I wasn't getting any feedback, good or bad. So I was just like, oh, people just actually don't care. That's cool. That's fine. That's fun. It was fun, but I'll probably just not do them anymore. And then you told me that you really enjoyed it, and you were like, "Hey, this is my boyfriend. He doesn't know you, but he knows your voice." And I was like, "That's weird." But then you were like, "Oh yeah, because I have your match analysis on all the time." And I was like, "Oh man, that's that's such a huge
Yeah,
compliment." Uh,
I was getting pretty obsessive about just all things Dr. Mario. So that was one thing that was really I just love the uniqueness of it, and just yeah, it's a very niche thing, but it does help. It I think it's helped my play, and it's just really interesting to see other people's perspectives. So I really appreciate them.
Yeah, and I think people just I think there's a lot of people who just like to talk about it. Even if they're
Mm.
just watching along, I think they enjoy discussing too. There's definitely a lot of people out there who love to just like break it down and just get into the nitty-gritty of this move or that move and all that stuff. So, I'm happy to provide and give people some content who are into that sort of thing for sure. But yeah, I think that's just going to do it. Thanks again for coming on and doing this. I'm really happy that I could have you on as the first episode and the first official Doctor's Orders show. 'Cause I kind of wanted to make this a thing for a long time, and yeah, I couldn't be happier about having you as my first guest. So thanks so much for coming on and doing this.
Thank you so much. It was fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Other than that, though, I think I'm just gonna wrap it up here. Thanks everyone for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and until next time, be safe, stay warm, and don't forget to follow your doctor's orders. We'll see you next time.